But most of you, most people, are not mature enough to have the hard conversation. The conversation where you might be wrong, and might have to hear something that you don't like to hear, and actually discuss it like you want to do. The way you describe that is that, why can't we just have that discussion?
Yeah.
Because we can't, because we're not mature enough. Okay, it takes a level of maturity to have that discussion without it just triggering, all the stuff, right? And then you can't have a conversation at all. You guys can do this, okay? You can do this. There have been things in your life that you have found discipline to accomplish. Use those as proof that you can do this, because you've done it. There's no way that you've never used discipline to accomplish something. There's just no way. Because you couldn't have, most things in life you can't accomplish without some discipline. So you have it in you somewhere. You just got to stir it up, okay? All right.
I don't necessarily struggle with discipline in the sense that I'm not able to push through and do everything that I need to do in a day. And as you know, that can be a lot of things where we live. I think my question more is on the lines of, how do you slow down and take the downtime that your body says it needs at the end of the day and not feel like there's more that you could have done even though you've finished everything?
All right. So I want everybody to listen to that question, because probably a lot of you have this problem, all right? Okay, what did she just describe? She just described the flesh versus the mind. The flesh feels like, I needed to get more done. The flesh feels like this all has to happen. The flesh is all of that. The mind is going to say, I'm going to prioritize things, okay? And I'm going to recognize that if I only do what the flesh is yelling about, I'm actually going to end up paying a price, because the flesh isn't being rational or logical. I'm going to burn out, okay? So that's where you have to say, yes, we have things to do. And yes, there's only a limited amount of time to do it, but I also need to take care of me. Otherwise, I'm going to be worse and worse at getting anything done. I'm going to start to drag. My mind's not going to be as sharp. My attitude's going to go right down the tank, okay? All these things are going to happen because I'm not taking care of me. But I can't take care of me guiltily. I can't have guilt doing it, okay? I have to recognize it is necessary to get things done, okay? It is necessary to be at optimal functionality. Now, she also said something really interesting, and I want you guys to take it way beyond what she said. She said, I don't have a problem with discipline. I usually can get all the things done that I need to get done. You need discipline to plan and to grow and get more than just the daily tasks done. Because some of you don't have an overwhelming amount of daily tasks all the time. It takes discipline to do what you need to do with your free time. It takes discipline to use your time productively in growing, to take one of the 7 areas and work on it consistently. Okay, there's probably a bunch of you in this room that are not actively doing the Omer challenge. Why not? All it takes is discipline. Okay. Thank you. Okay, all it takes is discipline. I mean, think about it. When it says here, okay, in the challenge, any one of the 7 things, number 1, spend time assessing the current state of whatever it is. Well, that takes discipline. You have to sit there and assess yourself and the current state of that area. Then you got to develop a plan, a daily plan to improve various aspects of that area. But that's going to take time and work, and I'm busy, and then when are you ever going to get this done? Okay? And then it says begin implementing the plan, and then you do that every day after that. Now, understand something. Once upon a time, I was in a multi-level marketing thing, right? And they used to provide, motivational tapes, okay? One of the tapes was put out by a very well-respected, nationally respected financial planner, all right? So this was a very successful person outside of any of the multi-level stuff. He was a certified financial planner. And the name of the tape was Ask a Busy Person. And you know why you ask busy people things? Because busy people get things done, okay? They know how to get things done because they're busy, and they know how to organize their time because they're busy. Not the person that goes, I'm busy, okay? But the person that actually is busy, if you ask them, they'll find a way to fit it in. You know this from experience. You know that there are people that you know that are very busy, but then you go to them and say, well, I didn't want to bother you. Like, no problem, what is it? And they get it done. Because they've learned how to be efficient and effective with their time. And something that should take 20 minutes only takes them 20 minutes. It doesn't take them 3 hours while they goof off about it and whine about it and procrastinate about it while they're trying to get it done. They just get it done and out of the way. A lot of us use that I'm busy as a crutch. Everybody's busy doing something. But are you busy doing anything that actually has to get done? Is everything you're busy doing a need? Is it productive? Is it growing you? Is it whatever? I mean, you know, I've got people tell me how busy they are, but yet they've got plenty of time to be on their phone and on Facebook and making posts and, you know, watching TV or shows or this or whatever they're doing. Don't tell me you're busy. All right? I'm probably busier than almost all of you, and I know I still waste a lot of time and I could do more. I'm going to be the first one to say that in front of all you, and I know how busy I am, okay? And how productive I spend in a productive way I spend my time. But yet I can still tell you, I've got time. I still have lots of bandwidth. It's a mindset, though. It's part of that discipline of mind. Can you see that you have more time than you think you have? You're just not efficient with it, and you're not effective with it, and you waste a ton of it, okay? You know what will free you of that problem? Schedule your time. And people are like, but if I schedule my time, I'll be so limited. No, you'll get much more done. Block things out. Use time blocking. Schedule things. Plan to do them at a time. Schedule it. Get it done. Get it off your plate and move on. All right? This is all, by the way, in the Level Up class. You should be taking it. It's free.
I seldom discipline myself. What's one way I can work on that?
Okay, there's a difference between when we use the phrase disciplining yourself, which we think of as like chastising or, you know, saying you should have done this or that or whatever, as disciplining. What we want you to have is discipline that says, well, I really don't feel like doing this, but I know I need to do it. And I find a way to do it anyway, all right? So one of the things that you can do is, if possible, when the thought comes to you, if it's possible to do it right then, do it then. Have a do it now sort of mindset, okay? Have a do it now thing, because most of the time when something occurs to you, you can do it right then instead of putting it off. Just do it. Get it off your plate, get it out of the way, okay? Two things I want to give you that I've learned from some of these motivational tapes. One guy had this thing where he would sit at the end of his bed to develop discipline, and in the morning he'd say, do it now 100 times. So that as soon as something would come up during the day and he was about to put it off, he'd say, no, do it now. Do it now, do it now, do it now. Second thing is, there are people that will say the night before, write out the things you need to get done the next day and plan to get the thing you want to do least done first. Get it out of the way. Whatever it is that you have the least interest in doing, but it has to get done, do it first. Get it out of the way. Stop having it hang behind you all day long, just hovering, okay? So discipline is about taking control over your life, okay? So the more you make an effort to take control over the different aspects of your life, you are developing discipline. Okay, here's one way you can practice that. Decide in the morning every day, I'm going to make my bed. Okay? Do you need to really make your bed? No. I don't care if your parents tell you to or not. You don't really need to do that. But if you do it, you've accomplished something first thing in the morning, and you've created a discipline where I've decided every day I'm going to do this. Whatever's going on, I'm going to do this. I'm going to have the discipline to do this.
You're talking about how the Father is one of purpose and being with himself, and Yeshua is one with him, and we need to be one with them. And I know we've talked about this before, but I connected it, I guess, or broadened the connection, because we've talked about when we went through the Torah portions, the complete man, right? Who he's complete within himself. But if we're not, like you say, getting on the throne ourselves, if we're not one within ourselves, having the mind and every other part of us submitted to that mind, then we can't submit to him and be one with him.
That is correct. See, I knew you had some thought about that because I happened to be looking around the room and see your face when I said that point, and you had that look of, I'm processing something. See, I know the Sarah Beth, I'm processing something face. Okay, so. So I had a feeling that question was coming, okay? I didn't know what form it was going to take, but something about the echad.
The question I had was about judging.
Don't do it.
I know. But I guess I like to understand when we all do that. Okay, I mean, I do that sometimes too, and I'm working really hard on it. But when we do that, is it about elevating ourselves and thinking that we're better than the other person? Is that what's behind this? Like pride, ego, that type of thing?
No,
or what is it?
Let's understand that judging can have that behind it, but let's not limit it to that, okay? There's lots of reasons why we can judge. One of them can be, in judging somebody, the idea of putting someone else down to lift ourselves up, or feeling better about ourselves by somehow pushing. That is certainly the case often enough, but it's not the only thing that's happening there. So when you say, is that what's happening? Well, sometimes. Not always, though. Okay? Not always. Look, I'm going to give all of you a very challenging task. Okay? It's going to require two things. And they're both going to take some discipline, but two things. One is a super awareness of yourself throughout the day. Okay, and the other thing I want you to do is, what I want you to be aware of is how many times out of your mouth, whatever you're saying, is critical. Okay? Is critical. Because I don't think you have any idea how often and how much of what comes out of your mouths is critical. There are certain people I talk to, that's almost only what comes out of their mouth. They have no idea. Okay? Critical of something happening, critical of themselves, critical of somebody else, critical of, it's just all kinds of things that are, anything, we'll use a couple of C's here. Okay, is it critical? Is it complaining? Okay? We'll just stop there with those two. The third one would be controlling. Is it something that you're trying to control? That's outside of you and not something you need to be involved in. Well, let's stick with criticizing and complaining, okay? Now, you're still going to be doing this in your head to some degree, but I want you to catch how often in your conversation with people, your statements are criticizing or complaining. Okay? Go ahead.
Okay, that definitely helps, becoming very aware of what's going on. Because I've noticed that people who tend to be very critical of others are very critical of themselves,
Well, yeah. I mean, look, you're doing psychology and stuff. A lot of it's projection. I see it in me, and then I see it in you. So I'm going to get mad about you, but I'm really also mad about me because it's the same thing, right?
I really appreciate what you said. Elohim is one. I always thought it was just one God, but the way you explain it, is fully in agreement.
Well, when Yeshua is using it in John, he's not saying that all of these people all of a sudden become one being, literally one, okay? Just like it says a man and a woman get married and they become one flesh. My wife's over there, I'm over here, two separate fleshes, okay? Because it's not talking about literally somehow you get joined into this thing that's one body, one literally physically, right? Okay, but you're supposed to be echad, unified, in unity, okay, aligned. So that's really what it's talking about. So we have other examples of how it's used to see that it's not literally have to be just one singular being, okay? But functionally, it functions as one. Okay, Yeshua says, my Father and I, we function as one. We're totally aligned. We function as a unit. Anybody's ever watched any kind of a team, and it could be a work team or a sports team or anything, but when they're totally aligned and work as a unit, and how that just seems to be one mind, one function, everything just flows. And it could be even on the job site, okay? Where everybody's just flowing and it just all goes as if it's one entity. Okay? Some of you work in the factory, it could be how your line could, maybe rarely this happens, but the line could everybody's just doing their thing like they're supposed to, and it just works as if it's one unity body, one unified body. But yet it's got 8 or 10 people in the line. all doing their task, okay? And when it's not aligned, it gets all goofed up, all right? And that's how we all get all goofed up because we're not in alignment, okay? Go ahead.
Okay, great. The other thing that I wanted to ask was about, you were referring to being one with your spouse. With my husband, we're best friends, so we talk about pretty much, I don't know if everything, but definitely we talk a lot. And I was wondering about processing. Like, I'm an external processor. My husband is more an internal processor, but I kind of have to kind of talk it out. Mm-hmm. I know he may say no, but I really try to not take too long to do that. But I know you have touched base on this, but I still want to be very cautious with our conversations, because he told me we always need to be careful. What is the difference between exchanging, processing, without trying to influence the other person to see the situation negatively, versus the Lashon Hara? Because we don't want to, Lashon Hara is, can you please explain? Where can we be borderline?
Are you talking about in having a conversation with your husband?
Mm-hmm. Correct.
If you're not talking about somebody other than the two of you, there's no Lashon Hara.
Let's say I'm talking about a situation that happened with a client, just to say something.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Lashon Hara cannot be in a counseling situation if you're trying to describe something and asking for help, okay? And if the counselor's a good counselor, they'll catch you if you start, casting wrong aspersions on whatever, if you start judging whatever they say, hold on, let's not go there, just tell me what happened. Okay, tell me what happened without all the emotion, tell me what happened without all of the, labeling, okay? All right? So if you say, well, I was counseling this husband and wife, and the husband was being a real jerk. Well, see, now you've labeled. See, then you're not sharing something with your husband to try to, go through something, saying the husband was acting in a way that the wife was thinking that he was acting like a jerk. Don't you label things. And so, because you're looking for feedback from him in terms of, now, why you'd be sharing it with him. He's not, when you share with me, you're looking for me to give you some guidance how I might handle things. With him, you should be sharing and saying, man, I had a rough day. I was listening to some really hard stuff today, and this is what I was going through. So be careful that you're not doing it in a way that casts them in a light that's inappropriate.
No, okay? I mean, I'm talking about more like if something, let's say, happened and it's really about me, like this was an emotion or something, came
Right.
up. It's more
saying,
about me.
And so then you're saying this happened and it brought out this emotion. There's no Lashon Hara there. Okay?
Okay.
All right. When you're trying to process, let me just kind of put it this way, all right? And you go to husband, wife, mother, father, sister, whoever, your best friends, right? Somebody you're really close with, your confidant, and you're trying to kind of vent or process out loud something that you went through, that's not going to be Lashon Hara, unless, listen, the part of Lashon Hara that's really the key is, am I trying to influence you to feel about them the way I feel about them? Okay? They upset me or disturbed me, and I want you to feel about them because I'm not happy with them right now because of what they did, and I want you to be not happy with them too. Now we're in Lashon Hara. If I'm just saying, this happened and I'm not happy and I need some help processing it, and I'm not making any attempt for you to make you see them a certain way, do you see the difference? Okay? People that are doing Lashon Hara are almost always trying to get you to have the same negative thoughts about the person that you have. Okay? Instead of just saying, I went through this and I need comfort from you. Okay? There's an influence part, okay? There's this idea of influence. I'm trying to influence you to see them a certain way. Negative way, okay?
Yeah, I appreciate that, because I do seek he says a lot of why, he's able to be very objective a lot of times and it helps me balance my perspective very well. So that's good. The last question I had was about you were talking about Hebrews and by belief, he did the works. So whenever we are encountering a trial, let's say it's not about Torah, like it's not about keeping Sabbath or any of that, but we're facing
just
an
adverse situation.
An adverse situation,
Okay.
and we're trying to work through it. If we succumb into the fear, and we're not trusting that it's His will and whatever is going to happen, He allows or causes whatever is going to be for His good, that's also like poor works. That will be like we're not really exhibiting the works that He wants because we're not trusting and staying with Shalom
Yes.
and Emunah and all that.
Yes.
Yeah, thank you.
Which happens because the mind is not strong enough yet. All right, don't be insulted when I say that. We're all not strong enough yet, okay? No matter how strong you are, there's a lot more to go to become strong like Yeshua. But the thing is, if you're going through a trial and you're panicking and you have anxiety and you're depressed or all these other things, this is a weak-minded reaction. Okay, this is you not yet being in His mind, because in His mind you would trust. You wouldn't have fear. You wouldn't have doubt. You wouldn't have anxiety, because anxiety is fear of something that hasn't happened yet. You trust that it's going to be okay, right? Depression is, reliving things that already did happen instead of being able to let that go. Again, that's not His mind. And so we just have to understand that is what it's all about. And some of you are like, well, it's easy for you to say. It actually is that easy. You just got to decide to let that go and to not panic about what hasn't happened yet. But you've been doing it for so long, you can't imagine stopping. So just stop it, okay? Look up, there's a really good, anybody remember the Bob Newhart show? Look up Bob Newhart, Stop It. And there's a little skit he did where a person came in for counseling and he said, here's my solution, whatever it was. It's just 2 words, and it just was, stop it. And the person said, he said, no, just stop it. But you don't understand. And I start doing, he said, well, just stop it. It is that simple. It doesn't mean it's easy to do, but it is that simple, okay? Simple doesn't mean it's easy. It just means it's not complicated, okay?
One of the things I was going to ask you about is I have a friend that basically she always has a need, constantly in need about something. And I watched the patterns in her life. She's not a very good steward, and I watched that. So the couple of things is...
Wait.
Okay.
Does she have a need, or does she come to you claiming she has a need?
No, she actually does have needs come up because she does not take care of her finances very well.
Okay.
Okay. So my question about this is I get to the point that I'm like, I'm not going to enable her.
No.
Because I watch this going on. But then I think, if I was to help her in a situation that came up, a small one, then I wouldn't really be a good steward. And then I thought, however, when is the point that you say, okay, here's a person who has a need, and you hope that they're going to use that correctly, what you give to them. Do you just give it to them because not necessarily her, but another person who has a need? Do you give it to them with the intent that, okay, Abba, Father, I see a need, I want to give to this person, and, at that point, once I give it to them, they're responsible for how they use what I have given to them to meet those needs.
Boy, didn't that sound wonderful? And it's all a crock. You just made it sound like so wonderful. I just trust the Abba. You just make.
I don't know.
But that's not the way it works, okay?
Okay.
But it sounded so good. Don't we all do that and convince ourselves those kind of things?
I don't know.
Look, we have a very simple process when people come to us, which is why you should send them to somebody like us, right?
Sure.
And they usually end up with elder first, and we'd go through the process of finding out why there is a need. Okay, now, we are very happy to help when the need is a unusual, unexpected, not, bad handling of finances type of whatever. But just sometimes things happen, right? We're happy to help those people out. But when we find out it's because of bad finances, we're going to want to make sure that they're actually going to be doing something to address the actual problem.
Right.
Okay? So the question is, need, cause. What caused the need?
Right.
An unexpected, no way they could have predicted, oh, that's one type of thing.
Right.
Or a very predictable path to the need.
Right.
Mismanagement of funds, spending like they shouldn't, not watching what they're doing, not keeping track of this. Well, I'm not throwing any money at that.
Right.
Because it's just going to not do anything. Okay?
Right.
Okay, so I'm not going to sit there with those wonderful words going, I'll just trust Abba. Well, no. Abba's going to look at you like you're an idiot.
Not for that. No.
Why are you giving money to this person who's just going to come and need it 6 months later, 5 months later, next week,
Right.
or whatever they're doing with their money, okay? So, this came up, and I'll give you an example. Maybe you'll think I'm being really cruel here. When I first started in ministry, this goes back a long time, I was just the Torah teacher at a small congregation. It wasn't my congregation. The leader was, I guess, trying to figure out about eventually letting me take over the congregation because he was supposed to be moving across the country or something. And so he wanted to see, I guess, how I would handle something. So he came to me and said the lady had contacted him about not being able to pay her rent. Okay? And I said, well, what else is going on? Like, why, as far as, well, she's just short, whatever it is. Come to find out, the lady also smoked 4 packs a day. Right. I said, well, I'm not going to give any money to somebody who can't pay their rent who's smoking 4 packs a day. If you're not willing to do what you need to do to take care of yourself, why am I supporting your stupidity and your bad habits? Because that's basically what I'd be doing, right? So I told him that's where my approach would be. I don't remember what he did, but I'm just saying is because it wasn't my decision, it was his, all right? But no, I would talk to the person and say, if you want my help, I want to see that you've already done everything. Elder Billy will tell you, when you come to him, have you done everything you can? Okay, we should not be first, okay? We will absolutely help you if that is actually where our role should be. So we're not like the insurance companies trying to find some way out of it. We want to just make sure we're actually helping you. And the first thing to help you is make sure you've done everything to help you. Right. You have to develop the ability and the mindset of making the effort to help you first. Okay? And a broke person who's calling us doesn't go to Starbucks every day, doesn't smoke 3 or 4 packs a day, because they can't do that if they're broke. Okay? They don't have 5 apps they're paying for. And then come to us because they fall short for the week or whatever. Right. Because then you're asking us to pay for all that stuff, essentially. Right. You're not taking your responsibility. Okay? So when a person like that comes to you, you have to say, look, your problem is, be honest with them. Say, look, you're just not handling your money right. You need help understanding how to handle your money. Okay? Mm-hmm. It's hard. Yeah. By the way, one of the worst experiences you get to have in life is being honest with people. Because that always goes so well, doesn't it? They love it when we do it. When I say, basically, you're an idiot. What are you doing? And they don't laugh. I actually say that. When it's appropriate. But I say it this way. Are you ready to stop being stupid? Because when you're ready to stop being stupid, things will get better. Okay? Now, that's not just when, like I said, time and chance happen and you're in trouble. But there are people that are in trouble all the time because they're just not tired of being stupid yet. And stupid meaning, well, how do you end up in big financial problems? The flesh. What do you mean by the flesh? Because you have no discipline to recognize I don't have enough money for this. Because you're not even looking at your budget. I have had several people, even success stories, who have fixed everything, but when they came to me first, had no idea, and most of you are that way, how much you have every month, negative or positive, at the end of the month. You have no idea. You couldn't tell me. You couldn't tell me that at the end of March, we just finished March, whether you were up or down for the month and how much. You have no idea. And this person, when they came to me, and they have fixed it since, I was very proud of them, they had no idea how in the red they were until we actually looked it up and got, got all the numbers and the bank statements and the credit cards and everything figured out. Okay? I'm sure this lady has no idea how upside down she is.
Yes, correct.
Why would I throw money at that?
Right.
It's not going to do anything. It's only going to make it worse.
Right.
And then she's going to come back for more. Okay? I'm not feeding the drug addict.
Mm-hmm.
That's basically it. They're addicted to their foolishness. I'm not feeding the addiction.
Mm-hmm.
All right? Their drug of choice is spending money, or their drug of choice is whatever foolishness they're doing.
Mm-hmm.
All right?
Thank you. Yes, I did cut that off,
Yeah.
by the way. My other question is, this happened a while back, and I had a friend who basically felt that I had done something or said something. I can't recall what it was at the moment. And when she came to me, she wanted me to acknowledge what she said was correct. And I said, look, I'm sorry that you think that I said this, but I assure you I did not say that. But I apologize that I hurt your feelings according to you. And of course, that didn't go over too well. And we had a rift for a couple months. And eventually she came back. But I figured I was not going to lie to make her happy by saying that I did something that she thought I had done. And I just wonder if, how to handle that, if I had handled it correctly, or what would you have done?
Well, look, nobody has ever accused me of that. Almost like on a weekly basis. Well, you said, no, I didn't. Yes, you did. No, I didn't. And sometimes it's easy enough because not only did you say it or not, you might, whether you can remember or not. It's funny, too, because people do this like 6 months later, like, I'm supposed to remember. I can't remember yesterday. I'm going to remember 6 months ago. But the thing is, I know me, and is something I would say, all right? So if somebody came to me and said, I said something that's something I was like, well, I don't remember saying it, but it's certainly something I might have said. Then I might say, well, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to, if that's what I said, I mean, it's certainly possible. But there are other times I say, look, I know me, there's no way I said that, all right? Okay, and I'm not gonna give in to that, And I think that, again, the person who's coming to you is still a child. Okay, this is a childish response, an immature response. All right? And by the way, for all of you, if I ever did anything to you, the other way around. You ever did something to me and then feel like you need to come and apologize and it was more than a couple of weeks ago, even if it was yesterday, I probably forgot it after it happened. So when you come to me to apologize, don't be surprised when I look at you like, I have no idea why you're apologizing. Okay? Because Elder can tell you this happens all the time. I don't take things personally. Okay? And if I got upset about it, it lasted like 3 seconds and then I forgot about it. All right? Because he's watched me do that too. And then I'm like, okay, never mind, I forgot about it. So you don't need to come and apologize to me unless you feel like you need to for you. Okay? And just say, look, I want you to know you probably don't even remember this, but I want to own something I did. That's fine. Just realize I was not mad at you. And if I was, it certainly lasted like you can't even count how short, okay? It just did not last. I don't hold grudges and this and that or whatever. It's gone. Now, with that being said, in your case, okay, you can't expect mature interaction with people that are acting in a childish way, okay? Well, I need you to own this, and I need you to say that. And you know what? I'm not. Okay, if you need that, I'm sorry. Go away. All right? I'm not playing this game. I'm not going back to 5th grade and all of this nonsense, okay? You want to be mad at me, be mad at me. I don't care. All right? Everybody's trying to walk out this whole deal. I got to tell you right now, I'm invested in this relationship. I enjoy some of these relationships, but if you want to cut them off, I don't care. Okay? That's your thing, whatever. I'm not going to get that upset about it. Okay? These things come and go. All right? I've had a lot of people, all of you, if you're at least 40, 50 years old, you've had a lot of people in your life that you were very close with that you never talked to at this point. And not because there was a rift or anything, you just drift apart. This happens, that happens, Which is hard when I'm talking to like teenagers and they're all upset about some friendship. It's like, you're not even going to remember these people in 20 years. You're going to have all new people that are in your life, and it's just going to be, you just don't keep that many people from when you were little. I mean, I have 2 friends that I still kind of, or maybe 3 from when I was, and maybe we talk once every 2 or 3 or 4 years if we happen to run into each other or something. I mean, that I remember from my childhood, okay? Otherwise, everybody's newer. Okay, and that kind of flows in and out all the time. I mean, Shamash Uncle Bob is my best friend going back the longest, okay, as far as, I know him 25 years now, something like that, right? But otherwise, beyond that, I'm 62 years old, okay? So there was a lot more time before I met him. So just understand that I don't have any place to babysit and deal with children. If you're gonna act like a child, fine, go do that somewhere else. I don't care. Okay, I'm not going to give in and say I said something I didn't say. I'm also not going to apologize because you got upset and offended when you shouldn't have. Okay, I'm sorry you got all upset. All right, I don't know why you got all upset. Okay, all right. But I've had people say, well, boy, Rabbi, your memory's going, you don't remember. But I said, look, you know what, just because you took through your filters what I said to make it into whatever you think, doesn't mean I said it. All right, elders seen this happen. All right? People are like, well, Rabbi said, and he's like, no, I was there. He didn't say that. Okay? But that's what you heard because you heard what you wanted to hear. All right? And so just be aware that you don't have to coddle or give in or anything else. You can just say, look, I don't want to fight with you. If that's what you thought I said, that's not what I would have said. I never would have said that. So just, let it go because I didn't mean, I certainly would never have meant that because that's why I don't believe I said it. Okay? So let's just move on, all right? I need you to, well, that's okay. I don't need to do whatever you need to do. Remember, I don't serve you, okay? I don't do really well with people trying to tell me what I need to do, all right? Work for me for a little while, you'll see, okay? Don't tell me what I need to do. He tells me what I need to do, okay? If you'd like me to do something, tell me. I'm happy to do what I can, all right? Don't tell me I need to do stuff. It's out of respect, okay? Are you in the position that you're supposed to tell people what they need to do? Yeah, if you're a parent and the child is 5 years old, you need to tell them what they need to do, okay? When you're dealing with other adults, okay, you don't need to tell people what they need to do, okay? Don't try to control that and stick yourself in that position. I don't care if you're the husband or the wife or whatever, or best friends or stuff. You don't get to tell people what they need to do. You can encourage or recommend. You can suggest, if they allow for that. Okay? Also realize that I could be wrong. I think almost everybody out there, just in generally speaking here, are not big fans of unsolicited advice. Okay? Well, I was just trying to help. You want to get your nose bitten off? Go ahead and offer unsolicited advice. All right? Why don't you just only offer when it's asked? Okay? If someone says, hey, I want your advice on something. Oh, but if I don't say something, something will go wrong. Good. They need to have it go wrong and learn from it. Maybe then they'll solicit advice. Why do you think it's your job to prevent everything from going wrong? Blues. Okay, it's such a blue thing to do. Anything that go wrong that I can stop from going wrong, I got to do it. No, you don't. Okay, you just don't. Worry about you. Worry about that plank in your own eye.
But I've gone through. This is 5 Torah portions. Never heard of that stuff before that I've been through, and.
You mean the whole cycle?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so your 5th time through the whole cycle. Okay, good.
Yes, sir. And through those, when Moshe and his craftsmen, his tradesmen, put together the tabernacle, and when Solomon built the temple and Hezekiah rebuilt the temple, did the children of Israel have the opportunity to walk the property and critique what they did wrong or what didn't meet their expectations?
Probably not. And by the way, didn't I set that expectation at the beginning that I don't need you guys walking around the property with all your criticisms about this, that, and the other thing? Trust me, I've got my own criticisms. It's my building. and I have my own criticisms, right? And look, if you're criticizing, you probably have never built anything, okay? Because if you did, because I was told this a long time ago when I was first looking to buy a house many, many years ago, thinking, oh, I want to get a house someday. And I knew there were people that built their own house. And I was told this by somebody who built their own house. If you're not going to be there every day, then just know it's not going to get built right the way you wanted it, because unless you're there to watch every little thing, you're going to find doors in the wrong place, windows in the wrong place, outlets in the wrong place, or missing or this, because they're just not going to get it right. Okay, you got too many people involved. Not that they're all incompetent, there's just too many people involved. And they have varying levels of caring about getting it right. Or they have varying levels of what it means to get it right. Okay? I mean, I've got power outlets inside of closets, like a pantry. Like, no reason for this thing to be in a closet. Okay, I've got all kinds of things that are just not where they need to be. So what? Okay, we'll work with it. But I've got a great building. Okay. And if you told me to have what I like about the building, I'd also have to have these other things, I'd have made that deal every day of the week. Do you understand what I'm saying? But yet, some of you, we said this a little earlier, just like to criticize. You like to walk around and be the police of everything. Well, that's wrong and this wrong. Did you see this and that's this? Okay, it's not your job. Okay? Trust me, there are people letting me know when they find everything. Do you know I have a lot of blue people I know very well? That's part of their job. They find everything. And they're very quick to make sure I know about it. Okay? So don't worry about that. Okay? If you think Rebbitzin hadn't already seen it, okay? And some of the other blues that we've got, okay? Let me tell you something. Mr. Bohe, who's our kind of building superintendent type of deal, he took us around and showed us his little checklist. He saw things that I missed that a lot of people, I mean, he's got that. Don't think just necessarily. Listen, I don't mind you sharing, hey, by the way, did you know? By the way, were you aware? But that's not what we get. We go like, well, who did this? Or why would they do that? And how come this is this way? And that face that they make like we're idiots or something. I'm like, it's not your building. Be quiet. Okay? All right? I have my own frustrations and my own joys about the thing, right? And no, I couldn't be here for everything. And it's funny because the architects will tell me, well, it was in the plans. Well, do you think I could read all these? Yeah. Do you know what the plans look like for something this size? And you know how big the little picture, you need like a giant magnifier just to see what room and where the windows are and the outlets. Like I'm supposed to be able to see all that and even know what I'm reading anyway. So you rely on people to do certain things. And so they're going to get most of it right, hopefully. Some of the things that were fixable were changed and fixed, and we're still getting some of that worked on, and that's fine, all right? But I can understand from Mr. Bohe's point of view that, he's the one that ultimately all the stuff ends up coming to, and he's probably already aware of all the things you're telling him anyway, because he's seen it and found it and noticed it and all that kind of stuff, all right? And it is getting taken care of, thank you. And he said it is getting taken care of. By the way, somebody didn't watch what they were doing, or they took a chunk out of the wall in the ladies' restroom. That's not a big one. It's like a little dime-sized chunk out of the drywall. Wasn't watching what they were doing. If you do anything, don't worry about getting yelled at. Just let us know so we're aware of it and we'll try to get it fixed. Don't have to cry and feel terrible or whatever. Things happen, accidents happen, people walking around, something swung that you were carrying and maybe hit the wall or whatever and did something, or a child did it or whatever. I mean, we'll figure it out. We'll get it taken care of. But just, I don't expect this to be kept perfect always. Things are going to happen and then we'll take care of it. All right? It's like the person that, they got the brand new gym shoes and then they get all upset if it gets dirty or something. It's like, I just put mine on and went right out in the dirt. I didn't care. They're going to get dirty. Okay, I didn't need to keep them clean for any period of time. They're brand new. They're meant to be worn. Okay? So this building is meant to be used. Things are going to get spilled on, minimally, hopefully. Things are going to get dinged, minimally, hopefully. Okay? And I will get upset about some of it for like 5 minutes. okay? And then I'll be okay. Because that's my flesh that I'm still burying down, which still gets its 5 minutes, all right? But that's all it gets. You know, I was just watching, Tony Robbins did a little thing, I guess it was at one of his bigger things, but they took a little clip out about the 90-second rule. Anybody see that? A couple people? Okay, Marlene saw it, a couple people. So the 90-second rule says, I will allow myself a maximum of 90 seconds in a state I really don't want to be in. Any negative state that I'm in, okay? That includes things like New Jersey or, I'm kidding. No. It takes longer than that, than 90 seconds to get out of there. Anyway, New Yorkers, we pick on Jersey. What can I tell you? If you're in Tennessee, you pick on Kentucky or whatever. All right. So everybody picks on something. But the thing is, if you're upset in any negative state, you got 90 seconds. Whine, cry. It's almost like James 4. We're going to get to that here soon. Whine, lament, mourn, and weep. Get it out of your system. 90 seconds. Change your state. Okay. Okay. So it's not like ignoring the state. You got 90 seconds, okay? And then move on, all right? So I thought that was a really good clip. You can look it up. Tony Robbins' 90-second rule. I'm sure it's somewhere as a YouTube short or something. You'll find it.
Rabbi, I heard you talk about two different things today, and they sound like they contradict one another. And I don't believe that they do, but what I heard you say seemed to contradict. So I'm wondering if I've already bridged the gap in my own head, and I want to see if it's accurate, if that's okay.
Well, we only deal with contradictions on Tuesdays.
Shoot,
between
it's
9
Wednesday,
and
isn't
9:15.
it?
All right, go ahead.
Isn't it Tuesday somewhere?
That's 5 o'clock somewhere.
It depends on the calendar, right?
Yeah.
When it comes to apologizing, to talking with someone about something that hurt you or that you got upset about, what I have learned. Well, I'll tell you the two things that I thought I heard you say. And one is, apologize even if you think the person shouldn't necessarily be hurt or you don't feel like you did anything wrong, just apologize. And on the other side, you're saying, I'm not going to apologize for something that they shouldn't be upset about in the first place. That's what I heard. And it sounded...
It's not what I said.
Okay. So
I said the second one. I didn't say the first one.
Okay. It was earlier today. I think you said something about apologizing. So that's... I've been thinking, I think about these things a lot, as you know.
Okay.
And I've had a lot of practice with a lot of people in my lifetime. And what I like to do is what I just did there. I heard you say this. Mm-hmm. And you had the opportunity to say, that's not what I said, right? And that, I think, is really important because that way, I'm not saying, you said this, you did that, right? I mean, I might, when I'm upset, I might say, well, you did this or you said that. And if you immediately say, no, I didn't, then I'll say, well, if I have enough self-control, I'm going to say, okay, wait. I'm upset because I think, what I heard, you said this and I heard,
Right.
This is what I heard.
Right.
And as a result of what I heard or what I saw, this is what I'm feeling. And I think that it's not accusatory. It's more, this is what I'm perceiving, and I would like to address what actually happened. I think that there should be a lot of conversation, if needed, between two people who are important to one another, right? Even coworkers, about what actually happened. I've been accused of many things, of having said many things, like you, because I come into a room mouth first. And what I try to say is, I never said that, but I say, I don't remember saying that. I don't remember saying anything like that. And the reason I don't believe I said that is that at no point in time did I ever feel inspired or driven to communicate that to you. So it was never my intent. It was never, All
right, but now you're getting at the problem, okay? The problem is that when people are accusing you of saying something, it's not what you said. It's their belief in what your intention was behind what you said, the motivator, okay? And so I will say to somebody, like you just said, I will say, I don't remember saying that. If it's something within the realm of something I might say, okay? I will say I absolutely didn't say it if it's something I just absolutely would not say. So it's not about, did I actually say it or not? I will only say I didn't say it if it's something I just would not say.
Right.
If that makes sense to everybody, okay? If they claim I said it, and I really don't feel like I did, but it's something certainly I might have said, it's in the realm of something that would come out of my mouth, I'll say, look, I don't think I said that, I don't remember it, but I'm not gonna get into a he said, she said type of thing over something that I certainly might have said. It fits something I would have been likely to do. That's how I would use those phrases, okay?
Yeah.
But where it comes down to is the other person ascribing motive, okay? And that's where I do sometimes get a little upset if someone's trying to claim that what I say my motive was isn't true. Mm-hmm. Like they know what was motivating me better than I do. Mm. Well, you were angry. No, I wasn't. Yes, you were. No, I had a little bit of a critical voice saying, hey, I didn't like something. There's a lot of difference between that and angry, okay? But the thing is, we ascribe motive when we are like, well, you said, it's not really what they said, it's what you felt by what they said. So
How
the
you
words
received
that they
it.
said isn't really so important.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. I lost it.
Okay, but
Being,
go ahead. While you're thinking of that, but the apologizing thing, right? I'm not going to apologize for anything I didn't do, okay? I will say that I am sad and sorry, whatever, that you are upset by something. It was not my intention to do something upsetting to you. I don't know what I did that did that. And then I'll start to try to have a conversation to dig out why they were upset, because that wasn't my intention. And now I'm describing my motive. Instead of letting them ascribe the motive, I'm going to say this was my motive at the time. All right? So that's what I'm talking about as far as apologizing. I'm not going to apologize for something I didn't do. Okay? At least I don't think I did it, right? That kind of thing. Okay, now, but what you're describing between coworkers and whatever else, all of you need to understand this. And I've said this a while back, and you might not remember it. But most of you, most people, are not mature enough to have the hard conversation. The conversation where you might be wrong and might have to hear something that you don't like to hear and actually discuss it like you want to do. The way you describe that is that, why can't we just have that discussion?
yeah.
Because we can't. Because we're not mature enough.
Right.
Okay, it takes a level of maturity to have that discussion without it just triggering, all the stuff, right? And then you can't have a conversation at all.
It ends up one-sided or
because one
two-sided.
person can have
Yeah.
this tone of voice, the other one's screaming. Okay?
Yeah.
And you're like, I can't have a conversation with you. You already lost your mind. You're already screaming. You're already so angry and upset and triggered because you're not mature enough to have the conversation. Okay? Mm-hmm. Okay? It's one of those really look, we have this in lots of areas of life. It can be something that you and I had happen. We're friends, we're coworkers, and something happened and we need to talk about it. It could be something like talking religion, like you might have to do with some of your family members, and they just can't have the conversation like a mature person and disagree with you. It could be politics, all right? I can't have a conversation with my mother about politics. It's impossible. She doesn't have the maturity. This is an educated woman who doesn't have the maturity to have that conversation, okay? And I look at her like, I can't believe you and I can't have a disagreement conversation where I ask you, why do you like this, or why are you against that, and why I like this, or why I'm against that, whatever it is. We can't have that conversation. We should be able to have any conversation, but it takes a level of maturity, and we're not there.
I remembered.
Good.
So I think it goes a long way when you're in the receiving position of somebody saying, you did this, you said that, and to be able to say, well, what do you think my intent was? What did you hear? What did you feel? Okay. And then I turn around and I validate that person. Again, if I'm not triggered, right? I can say to them, if I were in your place and perceived what you're saying you perceived, I would be upset too. So that validates, like, if even though your perception was not accurate, right? It wasn't based on fact. I can see why you're upset. And I think that what has happened for me anyway is that for the most part, people tend to come down a little bit, and they'll say, yeah, exactly. So I'm validating, yeah, I would be upset too if I believed that.
Well, that's...
And then...
But hold on, that's tricky though, because...
Well, but then it's, however, that is not at all what I meant. That's not what I was thinking. It's not what I intended to communicate. And then the apology. I'm just saying that I feel like there's all this stuff in the middle.
Okay, but that doesn't work most of the time, because once you've validated them, which I think is good, because when I have a husband and wife in front of me, I make sure they always validate each other. Okay, like, did you hear what they said? It's not maybe that you agree with it or not, but just you heard it, you understand that's how they felt or whatever, right? That's validating. Validating doesn't mean you agreed and they were right. It means that you actually validated that that is how they felt. Okay, now, as soon as you validate, and they go, yeah, you see, that now they're even more not necessarily going to be ready to receive your reason why that wasn't true. Now they're thinking you agreed with them for a second, and now it can often be more entrenched and hard to do. I'm not saying don't do what you did, just realize more often than not, they're not going to receive your explanation that, even though you just validated them, that wasn't what your intention was. Because they're already convinced that was your intention.
Right.
Okay?
Sometimes I just let them talk.
Okay?
If I have time, I let them talk and I let them get it out of their system, and I don't react, and I don't, and I just say, okay, well, I can tell that you're really upset, and I'm sorry that you're so upset over this misunderstanding, and
Right.
that kind of thing. But anyway, I knew that's not what you had said. It's just what I heard.
Right.
I'm like, wait a minute, it sounds.
No, and it wasn't what I said. But
very,
the thing is, your process is excellent, and what I would teach anybody to do if people were mature enough to do it.
Yeah.
I mean, you should try it anyway. Look, the person comes at you, you say, hey, if that really was, if I was in your shoes, I would feel the same way, but I'd love for you to give me a chance to explain that wasn't my intention, and that wasn't what and they may or may not let you do that depending on how triggered they are at the moment. You may have to sit there and just listen.
If they don't allow that?
Yeah, you tell
do you
them,
just
look,
do you politely walk away and
I just tell them to grow up. No, I'm kidding. That will not work. No.
I've tried it. Definitely doesn't work.
I've tried it too. It just doesn't work. All right. But it's you understanding at that point there's no place to go till they calm down. Okay? There's no place to go because we're dealing with is always called a triggered reaction. Once it's triggered, until the trigger plays out, they can't receive something new. They're in this reactive trigger, okay? And so, if I said to you, why did you do that? Now, clearly there was a look on my face like I wasn't happy about it. Why did you do that? Now, my tone of voice is this loud. Why did you do that? And you look at me and say, why are you so angry? I'm like, I just said, why did you do that? With a little bit of a tone in my voice, I guess, but I certainly wasn't angry. But then there's no convincing you, though, that I wasn't.
Or that you weren't criticizing
Elder can tell you, I get accused all
the
the time of being angry. And he sat with me going, I don't know, you never raised your voice? You didn't. Okay, so, but you can't convince the other person of the reality they've now convinced themselves of. Okay, through their filters, you were screaming. I had a lady put on Facebook that I yelled at her on a phone call when I had people sitting with me at that time on that phone call knowing I never raised my voice once, but wrote that I yelled at her. Okay? Never raised my voice. Okay? This is her perception to justify her position in a triggered state. I'll never win the argument that I didn't yell. Okay?
And hopefully there's an opportunity sometime later to revisit that conversation when people aren't as upset.
That's where you have to wait till it calms down, and then you have to see if it's possible. But, I love when people are screaming at me that I'm angry.
Yeah.
And I'm not the one screaming,
Thank you, Rabbi.
You're welcome, okay? But just understand, everybody, when we're talking about this stuff, and this is so critical, please aspire to be able to have challenging conversations no matter how hard it is, okay? That is the only way to truly mature, is to get to that place where you can have the challenging conversation, where you might have to admit you were wrong. You might have to admit you were weak. You might have to admit you were a baby. You may have to admit all kinds of things. But instead of admitting it, we double down and attack twice as hard because of the pride, the ego that's going on in there, okay? We are just so protective of that rather than say, wait a minute, you know what? I am acting like a big baby. I am taking things way too personally. They're really not this. I really am getting involved in stuff that's none of my business. I have no idea why I'm so in everything that's not my business, okay? And then people get really triggered because I'm getting more and more brutal as I'm getting older on not allowing anybody in my presence to do things involving me. Not that they're just doing it and I'm aware, but involving me, that is not their problem and not their issue. When they come to me, I'm like, but that's not your problem. Leave it alone. Blah, blah, blah. But that's not yours to deal with. Blah, blah, blah. Not yours. And they hate when I do that. All you blues especially. You got to learn what is and isn't yours. Just because you're aware of it doesn't make it yours. People walking around this building. This building is not yours. It's to serve you, to bless you, to benefit you. It's not your building, okay? Nothing in this building is your problem. If you have a task to do in the building, that task is your problem, okay? And that's the only thing that's your problem, all right? But just because you're aware of something doesn't make it your issue. I was just trying to help. Do you know how many people, if the flesh really took over, do you know how many people would get punched in the mouth for that? I'm serious. How many times has somebody really gotten under your skin and their answer was, well, I was just trying to help. And you're like, don't help me. Anybody ever tell anybody that? Don't help me. Okay? I'm 62. Don't help me. If I want help, guess what I'll do? I'll ask. You understand? Unless I've asked you, like, this is something that I want you to help me with going forward, then keep doing that. All right? But if I don't ask, because all of you like to do stuff, well, I was just trying to help. Leave it alone. If I didn't ask you, don't do it. Trust me, I will ask you. Okay? If I want something, ask Elder, ask anybody else. If I need something, want something, and I want you to be the one doing it, I will come and ask you to do it. Okay? If I don't ask you, I got it covered. Okay? It's not hard. Most of you are the same way. But you got to stop being the one that's always inserting yourself into everything. Okay? If the person really needs to let it blow up on them, you're not helping. They need to let it blow up on them. They need to have some lessons there where they need to ask. Some of you really need to have some problems be allowed to happen so that you can learn to ask. Do you understand? A bunch of you really need to call and counsel, whether it's with me, Elder, whoever, because you got to learn to ask. All right? So when these people come to you, you need to say, no, go to them. Stop jumping in. Don't do something that really isn't your thing to do. You're not helping them. If you know they really should come and counsel, why are you talking to them when you know they should be talking to us? I'm not saying that you shouldn't talk to them. I'm saying is if you know they should be coming to us. Not everything should be coming to us. A lot of it, we'd rather them talk to you. Most of it. Okay? But I'm saying those things that you know they should, then say to them, you need to go talk to leadership. Well, I'm not helping you either until you go to leadership. Because the elder will do the same thing properly. If you should talk to me, he won't talk to you. He'll just say, well, make an appointment with a rabbi. Oh, I don't know. I'm not talking to you. No, but I want to talk to you. No, you need to talk to a rabbi. If it's something he knows that needs to work that way, he will not do it. Why do you do that? You should imitate that. He does that very well. Not that I want all these people coming to me, but he knows when they're avoiding me because that's the problem. Even if he knows he could answer the question, he knows when they're doing it to avoid. He says, no, you need to learn to have that relationship and stop avoiding. Okay? Moms, okay, stop handling that child that needs to talk to dad, but they don't want to talk to dad. Well, make them talk to dad. Okay? Or it's the other way around. Maybe mom's the scary one. Make them talk to mom if mom's the one that they're supposed to be talking to about a certain thing because dad has already said that's mom's thing. Okay? Let's learn to stay in our lane and understand where that is. That takes maturity, discipline. It takes a lot of discipline to not have to stick your nose in everything. Okay? And by the way, just because you don't come to us to talk about the building, you're going to go to each other. Can you believe they did this? And whose idea was, see, look at that floor. Look at that this. Who chose that? What? Shut up. I mean it. Just stop. Don't do that. Why are you doing that? Doesn't it sound childish? You're like, yeah, saying shut up sounds childish. No, I mean the other part. Okay? Find good things to talk about, right? The scripture says, whatever's good and uplifting, find that to talk about. Okay? If you ever hear me talking, Elder can tell you this, about anything not right, I'm talking about trying to figure out how to fix the thing that's not right. And I may be complaining about the person that's rejecting or refusing to fix it when I know it's their fault and they're not doing it. And I'm now frustrated and I have to vent that for a few seconds. But I don't just walk around in general whining about anything. Okay? I never hear him doing it either. We look to fix and do solutions or just accept some things are this is what it is. Red is what it is. Okay? This building already is. Doesn't matter how much I don't like certain things about it, it already is. At some point, if we have the funds, some of it I will change. If we have the funds. Some rooms are not big enough, some rooms are too big, some things are this, some things are too that. You just do the best projecting in advance as you can. And then we figured out, oh, all right, it didn't work like we thought it would. You can't know that till you actually have the thing, okay? If I were to build this again, I'd probably do certain things different, okay? But it's built. And we're very blessed by it, unless we want to sit around and be all whatever, negative about it. Then I'd spoil all the joy of it, okay? I mean, I sat back, I was dealing with sound and all these other things that I do as far as, a lot of you don't know, but I oversee all the sound, okay? And so I'm the praise director over Brianna, all right? But I was standing back there looking at the stage, looking at the praise team, it was amazing. It was amazing. So busy getting it built, so busy now getting it working that I just wanted to enjoy it. And it was amazing. Of course, I'm also thinking I want to move the singers over about 6 inches. I want to do that, but anyway. So, all right? But that's my director hat, right? Because that is my authority to do. But I got to enjoy it, not thinking about all the things that are not perfect, okay? And there are plenty. We still haven't gotten the sound where I want it to be. Had some issues with the sound, live stream, this, that, and all you guys on live stream, be patient. We're going to get it perfect, okay? We're using 2 different soundboards for the first time, and there are things that are not syncing right and other things. We're going to get it all worked out. Had some issues with the drums today that, unless you had the right ear for it, you wouldn't have known anyway, okay? The drumming was great. The drummer was great. Other things that my ear picks up. I have a conductor's ear, okay? So I can hear the different things. But it didn't take away from how great it was and what a praise it was and a blessing it was, and all of you getting to sing along. And Brianna was amazing, and the rest of the team sang with her was amazing, and all the people playing did such a great job. And what did they do that was so great? They all lifted us all up in praise, okay? It wasn't a performance. They lifted us all up together, right? Okay? But that's the whole point, isn't it? Lifting up instead of putting down. All right? And it's not easy to do. It takes discipline, right? It takes discipline. That's what we need. We really need discipline.
First one's from Rumble, from Sean Miller. Before here, I heard another teacher say that we're judge not lest you be judged, that the word there, judge, in the Greek is condemn, and that we are to judge by their behavior but not condemn the person. Is that right or not, and that only the above can condemn?
All right. It's not the question that has me making that sigh. It's okay. I'm not totally against this sort of thing, but I'm not here to address every other teacher's way of seeing things, okay? So stop bringing me that stuff, okay? I've already taught you this, okay? I've taught you that we are to use judgment or discernment, which is what he's really asking, and not judge the person that's doing the thing that we're using judgment and discernment to decide whether we should be involved in it or not, okay? So it's using judgment, not judging. Judging is where we have now sentenced the person. We've declared them a sinner. We've declared them whatever we've declared them, okay? Okay, there's a ruling been set down from the judge. I see certain people doing certain things. I might go, you know what? My discernment and judgment says, whatever they're doing, I don't think I should be involved in that. I'm not going to judge them for doing it. I don't know why they're doing it. I don't know what their life is all about and how messed up it is. My life was messed up before I started walking this, just like everybody else's, okay? I'm not judging them. I'm using judgment and discernment, okay? So it's not condemning, okay, so I'll disagree. It's the idea of the judge gets to decide the sentence or declare the label, okay? That person's a sinner, that person's righteous, that person's a loser, that person's good, that person's evil, that person's whatever. That labeling is what he doesn't want you doing. Instead, label, that's something I should be involved in, that's something I shouldn't. I'm not going to judge what they should be doing it or not. I'm going to just look at it and say, I shouldn't be doing it. Okay, I don't need to be a bunch of people sitting around gossiping. By the way, that's part of what you guys are all doing is when you're walking around doing all the critical stuff and criticizing, you're just gossiping. I mean, notice how much of your conversation's about people, all right, and in a negative form, okay? All right, so, it's not about condemning, although that could be part of it, right? Obviously, I can be condemning somebody as part of my judging them. But we're going to separate the idea of judgment and discernment from the idea of being the one declaring the label. Guilty, not guilty type of thing, right? Isn't that what a judge does? It labels them. Okay, let's not label the people. What you're doing is labeling the act. That act is not something I need to be doing. Not appropriate for me. Appropriate for them or not, I'm not going to get involved. That's their problem. Is it appropriate for me?
All right, this one, the last one from Greg Wallen. Would you say criticism and complaining can come from the intent level? How does that level change? What's more powerful, discipline or intent? I hear Yoda, powerful, discipline and intent are.
Powerful. Never mind. When 600 years old, you are. Okay, so look as good you will not. Okay, so that's what Yoda said. I do the whole voice, but it hurts my throat. But this is for Greg. All right, anyway. Look, he says, would you say criticism and complaining can come from the intent level? There's going to be an intention behind it, okay? I don't know that it's coming from the intent level. I just think it's coming from the immaturity level. Your focus is on looking for that which you're going to have something to say about it critically, or you're going to be complaining about something. It's just a maturity thing, okay? If something is, then you either should be focusing on accepting it or doing something about it, as opposed to complaining about it. Because it is, which means that either you can or can't do something about it. So what's the point in complaining about it? Complaining doesn't do anything, okay? And the same thing with criticizing. Criticizing doesn't do anything either. Either I can do something about it or not. Now, if it's my authority to go to someone and say, that thing you just did, I don't want you doing that, I want you doing this, that's not criticizing, that is instructing. Okay, that is giving guidance as to what, like if I go up to the camera people, or if I go up to the sound people, say, look, I want this louder, I want this way. I'm not criticizing what they were doing. I'm just telling them, I want this louder, I want this way, I want this frame that way, whatever. Now, clearly, it's also saying, I didn't like the way it was before that, okay? But that's something that's under authority, okay? So if you're giving constructive criticism or constructive guidance, okay, from a position of authority over something you have authority over, that's one thing. I'm talking about when you're criticizing and complaining about things you have no authority over. Okay, things you have no authority over, okay? What's more powerful, discipline or intent? So, intention is a driver behind, okay? Often we criticize because we want people to see something a certain way, or we want to see somebody a certain way, or somehow it eases some discomfort in us to make somebody feel the same discomfort because you don't like something, you want them to not like it or whatever. I don't know. A lot of it is very situational, so it's hard for me to give you a paintbrush stroke that covers everything. All right, so that's going to cover it for today.